If you put one boat in the water, you've got a boat in the water. But whenever you put two boats in the water, you've got the making of a race. Gold Cup racing began in 1904 and has given us some of the grandest designs ever to come off a drawing table. George Crouch was one of the great naval architects of our time. He designed Baby Bootlegger and designed Miss Columbia, two of the winning Gold Cup race boats of the 20s. Miss Columbia is owned by Philip Sharpless of Arizona.
Well, the boat was originally built for the Columbia Yacht Club to win back the Gold Cup trophy, because it was the original donor of the Gold Cup trophy. This boat was built originally in '24 and probably burned up around 35 or 38, because these boats were built very light and they fell apart very fast under the racing conditions. And Mark Mason found the original plans of the boat at the Mystic Seaport, and he found me an engine identical to one that it ran with back then, and we decided to build the boat from scratch and create an example of what was done back in those days. We started out with a Packard Gold Cup 6-cylinder engine in it and ran it that way for about 8 or 10 years. And then I was afraid we were in danger of spoiling something. The engine was 70 years old. I was scared of spoiling something that was really a museum quality piece of equipment. And I got a modern American V12 racing engine and put it in the boat. And it really is a pretty wild performer now, but still highly stable. And it'll run a little over 70 miles an hour, 620 horsepower. It handles high speed very well, low speed. It's the only boat I have ever known of that you could back and steer backwards around marks and things like that. And single screw power boats just won't do that. And this does it very nicely.
This is a Hemi-powered SK ski boat popular in the 50s. They're still racing today the Jersey Skiffs out of Red Bank, still popular in their lap straight design and powered up to 70 miles an hour. Kurt Breyer originally set the speed record at over 100 miles an hour in this Class E racing runabout and restored the boat, and it still goes over 100 today. Miss Minneapolis was a Chris Smith world record holder as the first boat to go 60 miles an hour. It was sponsored by the Minneapolis Athletic Club, and that's where it's got its name, Miss Minneapolis. This is a replica of the original from 1916. What are those doing in here? Turn, turn, turn! This is the Paul Harvey part of the show. This is page 2. This is the rest of the story. And we really want to share with you how the traditional art of boat building is being preserved at different restoration shops around the United States. And today we're at Bristol Classics, which is west of Minneapolis. And I'm standing next to a 1950 25-foot Chris Craft Sportsman, and this is one of the rare twin engine models, of which this is the only one left in existence with the original ML 145 6-cylinder Hercules engines. And years ago they put a fiberglass bottom over the traditional bottom to try and save this boat and get it to last some more years, and it actually did give it a few more years of life, but what has happened is it created a perfect environment to rot out the original bottom. So what's happened here is the original bottom was stripped off, and what you're looking at here is the skeleton as it exists in just about all boats. You've got a keel, which is the backbone of the boat. You have the chines on the port and starboard side, which is where the sides meet the bottom. And connecting that all together, you have frames on the starboard and the port, and then a butterfly that connects those two frames together. And the old bottom, again, has been taken off. You're also looking here at the stringers here, which are the engine beds. This is what the engines sit on top of. A new inner diagonal framed and plywood bottom is being cut and fit here from the keel again to the chine. And this is being tacked down now for the test fit, and later we'll have another layer of modern epoxy and cloth put down in between this and another layer that will go the exact opposite direction. The diagonal planks will go this way. Gives it added strength and will really make a bottom that'll last for the next 3 or 4 generations, which these treasures should be preserved for. As with any great dream or vision, you have to have a plan or a drawing. And here on the drawing table is one of the most exquisite launches I've ever come across in my life. And this launch was designed and built in 1939, and it is the equivalent of a Duesenberg dual cowl Phaeton in the water. We had to do a number of different things to put together the hardware package for this boat. One is replate the original windshield. We had to fabricate the ventilators from the original drawings as they no longer were in existence. We had to match up to the original gas cap, the base plate that goes on the deck to match up to that. This is one of the side lights, and this is what's most commonly known as German silver. And it is got a very high nickel content, so you get a very special patina to this metal. It's almost got a champagne color to it and stands out different from any other boat. And here she is, the Laura. This boat was commissioned by J.C. Penney, or so the story goes, for his niece, Laura Bushnell. It was known as the Laura B2. And it's 3/4-inch cedar over saw and oak frames, and was known as a Goodhue Laker, built by Nat Goodhue. What makes this boat so exquisite is that it's got such tremendous flare on the sides and terrific crown in the deck. And then as you move towards the stern, she's got this wonderful drop in the gunnel. It's just exquisite in every detail, and soon we'll be plying the waters of Lake Okoboji, Iowa. As we've done today here at Bristol Classics, we hope to do at many restoration shops all around the United States, Canada, and Europe, finding terrific restoration projects that are keeping the heritage of classic boating alive around the world. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Mahogany Bay. Classic boating hobby can take many forms. There's model building and classic toy collecting. This model is perhaps the most famous race boat of all time, Baby Bootlegger. This gleaming beauty is the handiwork of Keith Holm of Winnipeg, Canada. As you can tell, he takes his craft seriously, having spent 4 years in the construction of this exacting 1/9 scale model. It's perfect in every regard, right down to the steering wheel, throttle control, and hardware. The best part of this model is that it's radio controlled. I took my hand at the wheel, and they're harder to drive than they look. This was the first model you took on?
Yeah, this was the first boat I built after getting real excited from an article published in Wood Boat magazine. And it's fueled what will likely be a lifelong passion. They seem to get bigger and bigger, and I think there's no end to it.
You might build a real boat before you're done. Keith, it is so beautiful in the water, I just can't tell you. The sun hits that hull and it just glistens.
It really does look nice in the water.
Well, Keith, you think you could train me how to run this model?
We'll keep it out in this part here, Todd. I'll hand
Safely
you the
away
control.
from any other boat.
What we have here is a steering wheel, and right is starboard and left is port.
Okay, I got that.
Squeezing down on it will give you a burst of throttle, and back from center will give you a burst of reverse.
Okay. Well, let's give it a
maneuvers very well at slow speed, so if you just give it enough to get it going, you'll get a feel for it.
Oh, reverse. Actually backs up pretty well.
It does.
Backs up better than real boats.
This Columbia backs up very nicely.
Well, it does, but it says a lot about the hull design, and I understand.
I was amazed with the ride of that boat, how similar it appears to be to the real baby bootlegger. Just classic boats in their time.
That's it for this edition of Mahogany Bay. I'm Todd Warner, and I sincerely hope you enjoy stepping into the time machine with us as we travel the world in search of great classic boat adventures. Thanks for joining us. See you next time here on Mahogany Bay.